Walz.
Well, thank you. I'm going to move to the other end of that spectrum from the catastrophic and then move to the prevention side of things. And Mayor Cabot in La Crescent, Minnesota, pointed out to me on that Mississippi River crossing, which is not unique, and I understand everyone's going to line up. Everybody has their unique challenges, but that swing bridge there is one of the oldest in the country, one of the oldest crossings in the Mississippi. Its companion road traffic bridge, highway bridge, was closed down for several months. It had catastrophic economic damage because it was the same design as the one in Minnesota. We're very nervous after the I-35W bridge collapsed. The mayor told me that bridge has been struck 5 times in the last 10 years in accidents at the crossing. There is no other options because that's how you get across the river. And my question to all of you is, I understand you have a lot of these, and each member could bring up one of these things, but my mayor is saying, you know, we're going to prepare for things, we want to do this, but really the thing you could do is make sure this bridge is not 90 years old and gets there. How is that play out? What's the role of rail infrastructure investments that are being made? What's the role of our state rail plan, which it's on there, but as they tell me, so are some other things. How do we address and how are those being laid out in terms of priorities for what they are? Because my fear is down there, the life and limb and all that. But if you get a catastrophic derailment on that bridge, you shut down the Mississippi River, you'll find out how quickly the economic numbers will go out the roof, as that's the major grain port and things being shipped. So I'll leave it to the experts to, how does it work in terms of coming together, and how do we address that piece of it, that this is an infrastructure deficiency that is just waiting for an accident to happen, as my mayor said? So whoever wants it.
I guess I'll go first. I mean, I think 2 things. One, shortly after I came here as administrator, we passed out a regulation that sets up a rather rigorous bridge inspection protocol that all railroads are required to follow, and then we in turn audit their plan to make sure that they're complying, you know, with all aspects of the regulation as well as their own bridge inspection protocol. On the capital investment side, if it's a short line in particular, this is a drumbeat that I have been beating inside a lot of Tiger deliberations, particularly for capitally starved short line railroads. You know, track upgrades and bridge upgrades are, you know, very, very difficult improvements for the short lines, and yet they're critically necessary for this last mile delivery. And so, you know, continued support of the Tiger program, and if you're talking about a small railroad, identifying those things and supporting them through a Tiger application is one potential way of helping generate some improvements.
Congressman, you raised exactly the 2 points that Mr. Szabo said was going to be my answer. There is, on the safety side, the requirement that these are inspected and that indeed they will continue to be able to operate safely. And then on the capital investment side, each railroad does make its own decisions as to where the investment is needed based on traffic patterns and other needs. And so I don't know the specifics of that particular bridge. But you know,
what's our responsibility, Mr. Emery? I mean, what is the state's responsibility, the federal government's responsibility, the short line railroad itself? As Mr. Szabo kind of laid that out with the Tiger grants and all of that, because I certainly understand that it's critically important. Again, everybody's deficient bridge is the most deficient in their mind. I understand that part. I'm not trying to say that. But what is our role to get these things upgraded and get it fixed? It's in our best interest to do that.
From the public sector side, we must invest in a surface transportation bill. Public sector entities, we're investing $3 billion in PTC. Something has to give. And so we are taking dollars from one place and putting them in another. We have to invest in all the infrastructure. It all has to work together, whether it's the switches, the rail bed, the bridges, all those things have to work together. We need a good surface transportation bill so we can fund that infrastructure and make sure the entire system functions well.
And I would say, you know, that we continue to urge a robust, you know, sustained and predictable source of funding for rail to allow us to make capital grants. And to the extent that these are for short lines or for passenger rail improvements, safety improvements, it's something that would be eligible under the program that we've proposed in the last couple of rounds of budgets.
Great. Mr. Rudd?
Mr. Walz, I was just going to add perhaps a different component or dimension to this, which is very important to the committee's jurisdiction. We just recently conducted a study over the next 12 years. When we look at infrastructure generally in the United States from an energy standpoint, we are projected to expend $1 trillion in the next 12 years in the United States building energy infrastructure. It's estimated that will generate 1.1 million new jobs just building this infrastructure. So from our standpoint—
And that infrastructure can't be separate from the mobile infrastructure that we're going to need to move.
Precisely. And it all brings us back to the safety question, to make sure we're safe. The other thing, though, that we keep emphasizing, policy matters here, not only from a safety standpoint, but our ability to move permitting operations, to be able to invest this capital is a great opportunity for the country as we move to energy security. But those are real dollars, and they're all private sector dollars that assist the broader economy.
Okay.
I would be remiss if I didn't answer that question as well, if I can, Mr. Chairman, very quickly, that our ability to reinvest does depend upon this committee continuing to support the balanced economic regulatory system that governs our industry. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Larson.